Hello. I don't know if anyone is going to read this, but if you do, please give me some advice, as I am stuck in a pretty terrible situation. I think I have finally found the person behind all of my problems. However, I am having a hard time believing who it is, as it is the same person who has helped me a lot and has no reason to do any of this to me. The person in question is my cousin, whom I owe much to. I am very grateful for everything he has done for me, and he has done a lot. So, you can understand why I'm having a hard time doubting him. I guess I should explain everything in detail first. So, I, Rex M27, have been working for a marketing company for over 4 years, and it is all thanks to my cousin, Trevor M32. I say that because it was him who got me the job, and I have always been grateful for what he did. He changed my life. I will come to that in a bit. Trevor is the son of my dad's older brother, who lives in another state and rarely visits. But Trevor has always been more of a close family member because he has been living with us since he was 10 years old. After his mom passed away and my uncle had to keep traveling for work, my dad decided to take care of Trevor for him. Since then, until he moved out 7 years ago, Trevor stayed with us and was more like a brother to me than a cousin. My parents and other family members also love him because he is a very kind, human being, which makes it harder to believe that he would sabotage me like that. And now, at one point when I was still living with my parents, I was having a hard time getting a good job. I tried and tried, but I kept failing to get the jobs I wanted. That was a very grim time for me. I was unhappy because it made me feel like I was not meant to be what I wanted to be, and I was losing hope very fast. My parents were very supportive and tried their best to cheer me up, but I just could not catch a break. It got to a point where I would get so nervous because of so many botched interviews that I would not be able to even answer interview questions properly, which then resulted in me failing more. As I probably made it clear, I was going through a rough time, and at that point Trevor came through for me. One day he said that he had set up an interview for me at his company, and he told me he was sure I would ace it. He helped me prepare for it and got me ready and confident for the interview. It was because of him that the interview went well, and I landed the job. He helped me get the type of job I wanted, and I cannot explain how grateful I am for him. I thanked him countless times, and so did my family, but he said that he didn't need it because I was his family and he only set things up. Now you probably understand why I feel bad about doubting Trevor, so let me explain why I am doubting him in the first place. So, about a year into working this job, I moved out and started living alone and working hard. I loved this job, and soon I set my eyes on a senior position that I really wanted. Since then, I have worked very hard and done a lot for the company, but I have never gotten the position that I wanted so badly. That is because every time I get considered for the position, mistakes start showing up in my work. Not any major ones that get me in any sort of trouble, but just simple ones that cause me to fumble the promotion. I work the same way every time, and most of the time I don't make many mistakes, so it was very surprising to find that I only made mistakes at a time when it would really hurt me. I know what you guys are thinking. If that was the case, then why didn't I get suspicious of this before? Well, that's because I didn't know. My boss did not tell me why I was not given the promotion, and I just believed that he thought I wasn't good enough for it. It really made me sad because this promotion was something I really wanted, and I knew that if I got it, it would benefit both me and my company. Trevor kept telling me to not lose hope and keep trying, so I did. But 3 months ago, I got tired of trying and decided to talk to my boss about it. When I asked Alex, my boss, why I was not being promoted, he told me something that shocked me. He said that whenever the higher-ups started considering promoting me, I would make several minor mistakes that made them think I was not ready. According to him, this had happened 3 times, and even he had been gunning for me to get the promotion. He said that I was ready for the job, and that is why he was pushing me to work hard, but I kept making mistakes. I told him I had always worked hard, and he believed it, but he said that as long as I kept making minor errors, they would never consider me. The thing is, I knew that I had not made that many errors. I am not saying I do flawless work, but I don't make that many mistakes. I rarely make noticeable mistakes, so for me it was impossible that I would make so many mistakes that it would cause problems in my promotion. But I also knew that arguing with Alex was not going to do me any good either, so I just decided to focus on my work, and I thanked him for his support. I love my job and fully believed that if I worked hard enough, I could achieve what I wanted, but now I have learned that there is something else stopping me. So a few months after that, I worked a lot, made sure that my work was good, and was sure that this time I was going to get what I wanted. Trevor also helped me with a few important projects and made sure everything was all right. I rechecked everything even after he checked, and everything was good. I was sure that this time I was going to make it, but a month later I found out that I did not get the promotion once again. Alex told me that I messed up a lot of stuff in the big project that I did by myself. I told him that I didn't make any mistakes, but he was mad at me too and told me to stop asking about this. I understand how this looks from his perspective, and I even apologized to him for messing up. This happened over 2 weeks ago, and since then I have been wondering what is happening with my life. I know that the higher-ups don't dislike me, otherwise I would never have been considered. But it also looks like this was my last chance because I have messed up too many times. I spent the next week crying over my failure and got very depressed. I also kept telling myself that maybe I was never meant to go any higher because there was no way I made any mistake. I did not even consider any other possibility because for me there were none. Trevor and I didn't make any mistakes, and after that, I submitted the project myself. Then last weekend, when I went drinking with my friends to celebrate my failure, one of the guys said something to me that completely changed my perspective. One of my friends, as we were drinking, told me that it really sounds like somebody doesn't want me to succeed. He said that I started sobering up because it really made sense because nobody around me had ever gone through what I was going through. He then said that it was probably my boss and laughed, but I could not stop thinking about it. The thing is, in my case, Trevor is the only person who could do this. He was the only one who had the information and the authority to change what I was working on. Honestly, I have no idea about the other times, but recently, after I completed my project, he recommended keeping it locally for the night and submitting it in the morning. He made it sound like a good idea, so I did it. That day, he worked late too, so he could have easily changed my work. He is the only one who always knows what I am working on and has the means to change my stuff, but he has no reason to do so. As I already told you, I feel bad even thinking about this because Trevor is a very kind man who helped me get this job. And even after I got it, he helped me countless times, so why would he be doing this? I have spent the last week thinking about this. If he actually did this, I don't think there is anything he gains from doing this to me. He has no issues with my parents or me, and in fact, he loves my parents as his own and has always been grateful for everything my parents did for him. So, you can say, I am stuck between a rock and a hard place. I have most probably lost my last chance at a promotion, and I can neither accept that nobody changed my work nor blame Trevor. So what should I do right now? Should I just accept everything knowing that something is going on, or should I doubt someone for whom I am eternally grateful? I honestly don't know what to do. Is there any way that Trevor can be involved in this? Or am I going too far with that? Comments 1. Please give me some advice. New York Shorty. Op, I can understand the problems you are going through, and honestly, I think the cousin is behind all of this. Yes, he has done you a favor in the past, but that does not mean that he can never do anything bad to you. Anyone can act like they care, and he can have several reasons for doing what he did. I know you don't want to think he did anything, but there is no other explanation. You said it yourself. Other than him, nobody else could have changed your stuff, and what you said about the Big Guy Gal project proves it too. He asked you to save it locally before submitting it the next day. You know that there was nothing wrong with the project, so he surely changed it himself. You should see what he's up to, and you will find your answer. To Jamham Koi, you are right. You are one ungrateful person. Just because you could not lock in and prove your worth through your work, you chose to blame somebody else. And you did not just choose to blame anyone. You are blaming your own family member who is the reason you have a job in the first place. If being delusional had a human-sounding name, it would be whatever your name is. Just accept the fact that you don't have what it takes to climb up. It happens, and maybe you are actually in the wrong field. Maybe there is something else you excel at, but instead of thinking about all of this, you have decided to blame someone else. Grow up, learn to accept your failures as your fault, and stop blaming others. It will do good in your life. Update 1. It's been a few weeks since my last update, and firstly, I want to thank a lot of you guys for all your support and kind moments, even though there were tons who made me feel pretty bad about myself. I saw a lot of people telling me how bad of a person I was, for even thinking that my cousin could have done anything like that. Well, I obviously did not fully believe it myself, which is why I wrote the post. But I am not confused anymore. Let me explain. So, before I continue with my update, I need to tell you guys a few things I did not mention in my previous post. So, first, I live in a rented flat, and Viola, Trevor's ex, lives right below me on the lower floor. Now, I did not mention this because it was not important and because I rarely spoke to her, but now that it has become very important, I introduce her. Lastly, I did not mention the fact that nobody else in my office likes Trevor because I felt that it was not really an issue with how he treated other people in the office. And it's not like he was cruel with them or anything. He was just a little competitive, and he is known to tell the boss if you were hiding something. The most you could accuse him of was not being a team player, but other than that, he was a good human being. Or at least I thought he was. So, after my last post, I was left more confused because many people supported the theory of Trevor being guilty, and many flamed me for even suggesting it. I honestly could not have come to the conclusion myself, because I did not want to choose either of those options. I neither wanted to give up nor blame my cousin. But last week I had to make a decision because of Viola. Viola and Trevor dated for many years and broke up close to a year ago. She had just moved into the apartment where she is now and decided not to leave it just because my cousin broke up with her. I was fine with it too, and we had an okay relationship. We were not friends, but just exchanged pleasantries and helped each other out from time to time. I had never had a long conversation with her before last week, so I was still confused because I still could not decide, and I ran into Viola at the entrance of the building. She said hello and asked me what was happening. She said that for the past few weeks I had not looked well. I told her it was a long story, and she invited me to have some coffee and share. She said she would try her best to help me. I took her offer because I believed that she would be the best person to ask without having to investigate Trevor. She probably knew him inside out, so she would surely know. So, I went in and told her everything, and the more I shared, the more she looked guilty. I asked her what was going on, and she said that there was something she should have shared with me long ago. She apologized first and said that she didn't think things would ever go this far. She told me that, under the mask of kindness, my cousin is actually a really jealous person, and he has always been jealous of me. I found it a little hard to believe, But according to her, Trevor is never going to let me get above him. I told her that this could not be true, and she said it was. He genuinely cares about my parents, and he only helped me because he felt bad for them. Viola also said that when he found out that I was actually good at my job, he got very mad, and when I quickly climbed to his level, he was very jealous. Also, it probably did not help that my parents and relatives praised me for doing something that took him several years to achieve. I genuinely could not believe what I was hearing and left after thanking her for telling me what she knew. It's been a few days since then, and I still cannot believe what Viola told me. I know that I should, but I am still finding it hard to accept reality. So, I have decided to try and get some proof, and then I will do something about it. What do you guys think? Update 2. When I was writing my last update 2 weeks ago, I really hoped that everything I had heard from Viola was fake. I didn't really want my cousin to be the kind of person she was telling me he was, but no matter what I wanted, the evidence was stacking up against him. And I decided to check if what I suspected was actually true or not. I then took a week to plan everything and make sure that everything was believable. Then on Monday, I went to Alex's office while making sure that Trevor saw me. Then I came out looking all happy and started working. I knew this would make him question what was going on, and before lunch even happened, he came to my desk and asked me what happened. I told him that Alex had called me in to give me one last chance to prove to the higher-ups that I could handle the promotion. I told him that Alex asked me to do a special project for him and told Trevor that I was going to start working on it right away. Trevor kept offering to help, but I kept telling him that I didn't need it and that I wanted to do all of this by myself. I told him that this time I could not afford to even make a single mistake, and that I was going to ask him for help if I needed any. Still, he kept lingering, looking at what I was doing. This made me really suspicious of him because he genuinely wanted to know everything about what I was working on. The only reason he would need this information is normally to help me. But since I declined, the only other reason would be to change things without making a major mistake. At that point, I was pretty sure that he was the one messing with my work, but I still wanted to have proof. So I continued to do this for 3 days and told him that I had finally completed it and was going to submit it tomorrow. That day, Trevor stayed late because he had made a few mistakes while filling out a report. The next day when I came in, I pretended to submit my work, and he wished me the best of luck. Can you believe it? This guy was knowingly pushing me into a deep, dark well, and was wishing me good luck while doing it himself. I could not believe his audacity, but he kept playing his game. Honestly, I was not even that surprised when I found that my project had been tampered with, and that gave me proof. Also, I had actually shared my problem with a few close colleagues who also knew about this plan. They could not believe their ears when I told them that he really had changed my project. Now I can go to my boss and try to prove the kind of person my cousin is and the things he does in this office. But I have decided that there is also a better way to do things. A few days ago, when I went to speak to Alex, I actually asked him if I had a chance to get promoted after all of this, and he said no. He said that it was going to take over a year for them to look at me again, and that too with a lot of work. So, since I am not going to get my promotion anyway, I have decided not to tell my boss anything. I have decided to give Trevor a taste of his own medicine and make him understand how it feels when someone tries to destroy your life without you having a clue about it. He is going to understand how I felt all the time. He was secretly making me look stupid. I have spoken with the colleagues who knew about the plan, and they are happy to help me out. If you guys remember, I also told you about how most of the office hates my cousin, so they were happy to help me out. Also, my colleagues think that we could convince most of the people here to get on board with the plan, and I agree. But we have decided to move cautiously because finding out would be disastrous. So I only want to tell a few others and then make office life hell for Trevor. Hopefully by the time I write my next update, I will have good news. Wish me luck. I'll see you guys soon. Update 3. Hi guys. It's been 2 months since my last update, and I want to thank everyone for waiting patiently. The plan I made was not something that was going to happen overnight, and I needed to understand that more than anyone else. I am not a very patient person, but I am happy that I did this. So, a few days after my last update, I told many of my coworkers about what happened and what I wanted their help with. I told them that they could also just decide not to do anything, and I wasn't going to bother them. But it turns out I underestimated how much people hated Trevor. He had complained about most of them, so they definitely wanted a piece of this action. I was happy to have the help, and with everyone on the same page, we started making my plan a reality. So, what I wanted to do was very simple, the same thing he did to me. So, we started slowly messing with Trevor's work. Of course, we couldn't immediately go all the way in, so we started slowly. There were a few minor mistakes here and there in his work that caused problems. He got the wrong files or the wrong completion dates, which messed up his workflow and small stuff like that. About 2 weeks later, I added some laxatives to his water, and it was fun to see him struggle during an important meeting. We really messed with him, and to him, it felt like nothing in his life was going right. He started coming to work cranky and started exploding on people for minor things, which made doing things for him more satisfying. A week after that, he had a presentation, and a day before the presentation, he noticed that his entire project was missing. He blamed it on some error and had to stay all night remaking the presentation, and it ended up having a ton of mistakes on it. Over the weeks, he got into more and more trouble, and it started looking really bad for him. Then I gave him a few days where everything became normal for him again. I wanted him to have a few peaceful days just to take it away from him all over again. My colleagues were very happy to take out their years of frustration on him. Trevor then one day came to me for advice and told me that things were just going wrong left and right, and I told him that this was just a phase and it would pass. Well, I 100% knew that this phase was not just going to pass, it was going to take him with it. Then he got one important project, which he did very carefully and made sure that there were no problems with, because he knew that he needed a win after all of these L's. I think he was scared that Alex was going to fire him, so he did the work well, but he made someone else do all the calculations. That coworker was, of course, one of my guys, and he made several mistakes in it, which landed him in a flood of trouble. Alex screamed at him for making such stupid mistakes, and he couldn't even complain that they were made by someone else. Then a few weeks ago, I decided that we had done enough, and it was time to end this. 2 weeks ago, when Trevor was working late, I asked him to transfer some company data to a hard drive I had on my office desk. He did it using his computer and put it back. The next day, I put the hard drive in his bag and let him leave with it. That day after we left, an employee told Alex that somebody had been stealing sensitive company information, and Alex started looking for who it was. Alex then found Trevor and asked me about the hard drive, and I told him it had been stolen and my cowboys backed it. All of this pointed to Trevor stealing information, and Alex fired him without even hearing him out. At that point, he realized the game I was playing. Trevor did not say a word and ran to my parents, to whom I had already told everything weeks ago with evidence. They asked him never to show them his face again, and he begged for forgiveness. Now, he's trying to contact me, hoping I will help him, but I have ignored him for weeks. He really thinks what he did can be forgiven, but not really. And he is not even going to get a response from me. My parents are not going to forgive him either, and his dad seems mad at him too. This is what happens when you choose to be like him. I hope you guys think what I did was right. I do, and I don't feel guilty about anything. This is it from me, and hopefully, in time, I will get that promotion.